All right, so just a continuation from the last video. This topic, it's actually, I've probably talked about it before. I think about it more than I should. I myself worked a couple different sales jobs, and it's no different than life in general, I guess. Most people just really don't, you know, everyone's on their own. I think when you're young, maybe you don't understand that, but the older I've got, I've just totally realized no one really cares about you for the most part. They really only care about themselves. Family, I guess your close family maybe is the exception. But that's, I guess that's just human nature, right? People are very concerned about their own well-being, and it's no more evident than it is in working like a sales job when you're competing. Well, you're not directly competing with other people, but you kind of are. And you know, because money's involved, right? So you know, you're working a job and you're getting X amount of leads or X amount of people to talk to, and really all you care about is, you know, the only thing you care about doing is what's going to be better for you, right? A lot of people will say, you know, I want to make sure that the consumer is taken care of, and I want to make sure that they understand what they're buying and that it's a good fit, right? And that's more of like the way that I found it, that's more of like a customer success thing. The sales guys, again, they only care about, you know, how they're going to make money. And that's what I've found to be true about most of them, at least from just a few experiences I've had. And again, I know that's not representative of everything, but it's a little concerning, I guess. You know, when you're talking to someone at, you know, Comcast, or someone at any company trying to sell you something. If you're a professional, then there's a bunch of companies that'll try to sell you stuff, right? It could be anything from like lead generation to marketing to you know, just there's a million things that you can get involved with for your business. And you know, I always did it from a standpoint of, I treated it like I was talking to myself. Like, hey, I kind of want to understand what it is that I'm buying, and I want to know like how long I'm going to be, what the commitment is, like how much money am I going to be paying, and what's a realistic expectation, you know, if I do all the right things. I think that's pretty normal. But a lot of the guys that I worked with, and gals, I guess, there wasn't as many gals, but there were a few. You know, you just totally, it's a dog eat dog world. They will tell you anything to get you to sign a contract. You know, to the point where you withhold certain information, or you withhold features about the product that they're not going to want to know because they're negative, or because they're not seen in a positive light, or they're going to raise more questions. And you know, I'm all for getting someone like, hey, you know, you probably need to do something, right? Whether it's marketing or lead generation or advertising or whatever, right? Or again, when it comes to running a business, you get phone calls like this all the time. So people are just looking for, a lot of the people were naive, and you know, they're looking for like a golden ticket or a magic bullet, where it's like, I'm gonna pay these guys and they're gonna basically do everything for me, where it just doesn't really work like that. But you don't want to sell someone on the fact that that's the vision they have, right? Like, hey, I'm calling you and I saw your ad for, you guys do this awesome lead generation, you can get me all these great people that want to buy my product or whatever, or use my service. And then, so that's the idea they have of it going in, right? Like, it's going to be this awesome thing that's going to make them it's going to make their life so much better, and they're going to have all these customers, and they're going to be rich, right? And it will all be worth it. The reality is, most of the time, you know, that's not true. Like, they believed what they wanted to believe. They didn't ask enough questions, and the salesperson just simply heard yes, and they stopped. And so, you know, there's a million books about that. Like, when you're in sales, about just when you hear yes, just stop and just take the sale or whatever. And you obviously don't want to talk yourself out of doing that, but I couldn't stand it. Like, all these people that were, you know, and you can hear the way other people are talking. You can even listen into what they're saying, like the sales representatives. And it's just really, you know, people just being taken advantage of and being told stuff that's just not true most of the time, right? The amount of people that actually have to have a hard conversation, they simply just won't buy it, right? And that's what I found to be true. It's like, hey, you know, we got this product. It's here's what it's going to do. It's going to generate this amount of activity for you, and you know, we're going to guarantee you this amount of opportunities every month or whatever, right? Whatever you're selling, that's more of like a lead generation thing. Like, hey, these are people that are coming right to you, and they're fresh. You know, they're not people that were interested like 6 months ago. You know, the people that right now are clicking on it and putting their information in, and so you're gonna have the chance to, you know, be the first person to talk to them, and the only person, right? So a pitch like that, there's a million things which you could use that pitch. And so on the other end, you're like, oh, okay, well, that sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. You know, I'm gonna get this and that and this, and I'm gonna have all these opportunities, and I'm gonna close all this business. And so that's what you know, people would basically say that and assume the sale. And I you know, you're supposed to be the expert on it, and of course I can tell them all those things, but people have a legitimate question, like, oh, well, what if it doesn't work? You know, or how, can I cancel it if I don't like it after 1 month, right? Or how do I know you're not, you know, selling the information to other people? Like, all these totally fucking legitimate questions that you know, you don't have a good answer to. And everyone's like that, right? Like, all these people, if you talk to just the general public, if you're facing the customer, so if you're just talking to average Joes, you're gonna deal with so much bullshit. You're gonna deal with people just, I mean, they're having a bad day, they're cussing at you, that are totally unreasonable, and you just have to deal with it every single day. And so that takes a toll on you. As much, you know, there's people that act like it doesn't, and you know, there's times when you're doing everything right and the results aren't there. I felt like I always was doing stuff right, and I just, you know, if I don't have a product that is decent, if I have to sell you by being misleading and by withholding information, that says more about the company than it does about me, right? Like, I'm all about telling you exactly how the product works and like what the results could be if you do everything you're supposed to do. Because I think that's the conversation that most real people want to have. But the conversation about like being buddy with you and putting you in a good mood, and then not really telling you much about the product at all, and then just, and that's what I feel sales is. Like, it's just people buying from people. Like, they don't really know shit about the product, and they're just trusting that it's going to work. Well, how does that work if you're a snake oil salesman and you have a really friendly attitude, but you know, oh, well, I really liked the way he was talking to me, but Jesus Christ, this product fucking sucks. I've spent $6,000 in the past 3 months, and I haven't seen anything from it. But I really like the guy. It's like, well, yeah, that's what does that matter? What does it matter if you like the guy? If the product sucks ass, you're not going to be happy, right? And so much of being part of a kind of a shitty company is that it's like you have to rely on your own ability to just build 30-minute relationships with people that they're never going to deal with you again. You're just talking to them once, right? And so I just couldn't do that, because it was just like, man, I'm gonna have to be all buddy with you, which again, I can do that to some extent, but I'm not gonna, you know, lead you down a river of thinking that this is gonna be the best thing in the world and you can just sit back and do nothing. And a lot of times I would lose sales because of that. And I just was like, oh my God, like, I'm being penalized for being honest. I'm being penalized for being more of like a life coach. Like, hey, yeah, it's gonna be, you know, $299 a month or whatever the cost was. And so yeah, I mean, it's going to be $299 a month, or $199 or $500, however many fucking, you know, whatever package they bought, right? But then I would tell them, you know, I wouldn't want to set someone up with the wrong expectations. If I felt like they still had concerns about it, then I would try to like make them understand what they were getting and what they should do to actually be successful with it, because that's the goal, right? But I was looking at it from the wrong standpoint, because I actually cared about the other people, because I said, hey, you're spending your money on this. I can tell that you want to be successful. So here's what you should do if you actually want to be successful. If you don't want to be successful and you just want to give us your money and fail, then I should just shut up right now, because that's what everyone else here does, and you end up